So what I'm going to look at in this video is the effect that power makes on our positional shots. So we all know that we can strike different points on the cue ball, so I try and display that in as many of my videos as I possibly can. So we can play in the centre of the cue ball, and then we can play a bit lower down, a bit lower, until we get to maximum screw. The same applies with playing above centre, a bit higher and a bit higher, until we get to maximum top. But we've also got this effect of the speed that you deliver the cue and the power making a big impact on the final direction that the cue ball takes. So what I've got here is you can see that I've got the coloured balls lined up against that side cushion here, and I'm going to use these as little targets so we can see how even when I'm striking at exactly the same place on the cue ball, the power and the speed that I deliver my cue at will make a big impact on the final direction that the cue ball takes. So I'm going to try and pop this red off the spot each time. I'm going to use different powers hitting at exactly the same point, and let's have a look at what effect that has on the final direction of the cue ball. So I've set the camera up in the overhead position here so we can get a better view of the path that the white ball is going to take. And obviously in this video we're talking about the speed or the power that you play the shot at being incredibly important to the white's final direction. So we'll get a good view of that from this overhead position. And on all of these shots what I'm going to do is hit just above centre on the cue ball. So you can see on my cue ball there, from the centre I've gone about one tip up, and I'm going to play all of these shots at that exact same point, but I'm going to play them at different powers, so hitting the ball harder each time, and we'll see what happens to the direction of the white ball. So on this first shot here, I'm going to say roughly I'm playing this shot at about a 3 out of 10 in power, and you can see that obviously, like I say, I'm hitting just above centre. So let's have a look at where the white goes. So the white hits the red, and it's pretty much there. The white there has found its natural path. It's just gone towards the blue there, and that's pretty much the natural path that the white would take. So I'm hitting above centre, so the white is just naturally rolling. And because I haven't hit the white very hard, it hasn't had any stun effect on there at all, so the white hasn't skidded, hasn't changed the direction of the white, and we can see it's gone towards the blue. So if I just leave that line on, I'll just play that shot again, and you can just see that the white is just travelling now. I'll play the shot, and you can see that the white is travelling nicely along that line, and it goes somewhere towards where that blue is. Okay, so let's have a look at the second shot then. So I'm going to increase the power very slightly now, still hitting exactly the same place on the cue ball, only this time I'm going to play the shot a little bit harder. So I'm going to play it probably about maybe a 4 out of 10 in power. So I hit the shot there, you can see I've increased the power, and we can see that time that the white went a little bit wider, so it's hit in between where the blue and the brown are there. You can see it's taken a slightly different line. So if I leave that line on, now I'll play the shot again, and you'll see that the white will travel along that slightly wider line, and that's purely because I've played the shot a bit harder. Still hitting the same point on the white with that more power. You can see that the white has travelled along a wider line that time. Okay, so let's have a look at the third shot. So again, let's increase the power again. Let's go to about a 5 or a 6 out of 10 in terms of power now, and play the shot, and we can see that time it's hit about where the brown is. So I'd say that's a medium pace shot. That's probably about a 5 out of 10 in power. Of course, all of these numbers that we're talking about are just kind of giving you a rough idea. You'll have to experiment with your own action what feels to you like about a 5 out of 10 in terms of power. So if we just watch that shot again, we can see that the white now, still the same place on the white, much firmer shot that time, and you can see that it travelled along that line, and it actually hit there, probably just slightly above where that brown is there, just very, very slightly. Okay, so if we look at the fourth shot, let's increase the power, let's turn the power up again a little bit. So I'm hitting this reasonably firm there. This is probably about a 6 out of 10 in terms of power, 7 out of 10, and you can see that that time it's now gone quite a bit higher than the brown that time. So again, if I leave that line on the screen, so it's about a 7 out of 10, quite a firm shot now. I'm really giving this some pace, and it's gone in between the green and the brown that time, so it went even wider. And this is all just to do with the increase in the power. So by increasing that power, I'm getting more of a stun effect on the white ball, and it's actually making it go wider. So this is a really important thing to know about, because when you're playing your positional shots, you have to experiment with keeping the same point on the cue ball each time and trying some different speeds, because that also has a huge impact in terms of where the white will travel. So let's have a look at this last fifth shot then. So again, same place on the cue ball, probably at 8 out of 10 in power, 9 out of 10, quite firm now. And you can see I've managed to get the white really high that time. It's had a good stun effect, and it's actually gone really wide. So if we just keep that line on, and we just show that shot again, you can see that this time just above centre, really hitting the shot quite firmly, and you can see it's gone really wide and actually hit where the green is. So you can see, very, very important to know that the speed that we play shots is also just as important as where we strike on the cue ball. We have to get that touch and feel in your action for getting much better cue ball control. So I hope you found that video useful. So it's really important to remember, not only have you got the height on the cue ball that you're hitting, you've got the height on the cue ball, but you've also got how hard you're hitting the shot as well. That makes a big difference in terms of the final path that the white ball will take. So the best thing to do is, just like I did in my little exercise there, is make a mark on the table, mark where the cue ball is, and then you can play around with hitting exactly the same point on the cue ball and trying some different speeds and seeing where your white ball goes. You can even do it with some coloured balls lined up there and just pay attention to the final line that that white ball is taking and get a better feel for how that power affects the shot. As always, if you did enjoy the video, please give the video a like. Please subscribe to the channel. I do lots of instructional videos like this, lots of practice routine videos and fun videos on the channel as well. So if you like what you see, subscribe to the channel. That really helps me to just keep this content coming as often as possible. If anyone's interested in any one-to-one personal coaching sessions, I'm doing those working with players all the time on the table. So as always, thanks a lot. Cheers.